We begin today in Brussels, where the foreign ministers of NATO member states are gathering for a two-day summit. NATO Secretary General says the meeting is an important milestone, not merely for Europe, but for global security as well. The foreign ministers have started arriving at the venue. These are live visuals coming into us from Brussels. The summit will, of course, address Vladimir Putin's invasion and the brutal killings in Bucha, just outside Kiev, that were revealed to the world over the weekend. The participating nations will also extend fresh support to Ukraine with anti-tank weapons, air defence systems and other equipment, as well as increased humanitarian assistance and financial aid. The NATO foreign ministers will be joined by their counterparts from Ukraine, Finland, Sweden, Georgia and the European Union, and partners from the Asia-Pacific region, Australia, Japan, New Zealand and South Korea. And their staff arrive for this all-important NATO summit, the first really substantial high-level event since over the weekend those searing images were revealed from Bucha, showing, according to the Ukrainian government, evidence of war crimes that have been committed. Even President Zelensky has called it genocide on the part of Russian troops in the country. And President Zelensky, of course, gave that impassioned speech on Tuesday to the United Nations Security Council, saying that the United Nations, in essence, might as well shut down if it is unable to guarantee peace and security in countries like Ukraine. So an opportunity for NATO foreign ministers over the next 2 days to consider their next moves in the Ukraine crisis. And we know that there are fresh sanctions that are going to be unveiled in the United States and also across Europe within the course of the next few hours.
Allies have stepped up their support. I also expect that ministers, when they meet today and tomorrow, will discuss how we can further support Ukraine. Allies are providing both anti-tank, anti-air or air defense systems, but also different kinds of advanced weapon systems, and also both light and heavier weapon systems to Ukraine.
Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg there, calling this the crucial phase of the war and claiming that Russian forces are going to refocus their operations, pushing further in eastern and southern Ukraine in the coming weeks. NATO says it expects Vladimir Putin to try and take the entire Donbass region in eastern Ukraine in the coming weeks and then try to create a land corridor in order to connect it with the Crimean Peninsula that, of course, Russia annexed from Ukraine back in 2014. US Secretary of State Antony Blinken and NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg will address a joint press conference at the end of today's meeting. Joining us now live from New York is WION's correspondent Susan Teherani. Susan, we know that there are more sanctions in the pipeline that could be unveiled today by the Biden administration and its European allies and partners. What are we expecting in that sanctions package?
Well, this new sanctions package, Simon, is expected to ban all new investment in Russia, increase sanction on financial institutions and also state-owned enterprises in the country as well. Officials familiar with this sanction package say that family members of Vladimir Putin will also be sanctioned, possibly his two eldest children, his daughters as well. However, this package also comes at a time when Jake Sullivan admitted that sanctions alone will probably not deter Vladimir Putin from moving forward in Ukraine. So that's a side conversation that's happening here in the United States, not only on Capitol Hill, but also in the media as well. We also know that sanctions will also, there may be, there's some eyeing of sanctions on the Sber Bank, Russia's largest financial institution, Alpha Bank, another large lender that officials are saying that perhaps will be announced as well, stopping short of Russia's energy sector. Again, something that Republicans here are pushing back on, saying that that is the sector that the Biden administration really has to focus on, the Biden administration and its allies, for Vladimir Putin to really feel the pinch.
And Susan, while all eyes are going to be focused on that NATO summit over the next couple of days and on NATO headquarters in Brussels, there was an absolutely astonishing event in the House of Representatives yesterday when a non-binding resolution simply expressing US support for NATO was brought up for a vote. And 63 Republicans voted against it, voted against the idea of expressing support for NATO. What is going on within the Republican Party?
Yeah, 1/3 of House Republicans, almost, if you think about it. And I think it really, you know, it's a snapshot of what we're going through right now. And these people, these politicians, they're going into midterm elections. And I think it's a snapshot of what the country is thinking right now. They're thinking of their constituents on the one hand. On the other hand, you really see these isolationist tendencies that still are withering from during the Trump administration and President Trump's allies really on Capitol Hill, that continue to really not favor NATO and America's involvement on the world stage. And I think you see this with even resolutions like this, albeit non-binding. It really paints a clear picture. On the one hand, you have groups like the Squad, which you compare to 63 Republicans on this side.